Hey guys, how's it going? I'm the Duke of Italy, your favorite lo-fi music YouTuber, and welcome to another CD video where I'm going to show you guys some more of my CDs. Well, while I'm making this video, I'm probably in another state, and I just decided to get some content out ahead of time. So currently I'm in another state, and I'm just showing you the stuff. Before I get started, I'm wearing this shirt today, so I'm just going to show it off real quick. This is not music related, but this guy is a big supporter of my band PFMK, and he makes these really awesome shirts. So I'm just going to show it to you guys real quick. It's really funny. It says, "I am a cop, and I am wearing a wire." It's a pretty funny shirt. So this is from my boy Zan, aka Artisan Trash on Instagram. Check him out. His t-shirts are awesome. Really funny stuff. This isn't the only one. He's got a whole bunch of them. He's got one that says like "Stop Recycling, Throw It on the Ground," and a bunch of stuff like that. It's a really fun bunch of shirts there. But I just wanted to make a quick little video showing off the second part of the CDs that I have because I thought that would be fun. And it's going to be a similar batch to last time, and it's various genres in no particular order except for these couple first things I just wanted to get out of the way. And up first, the worst album in my whole collection, I would wager, The Verve, Urban Hymns. I like the Verve a lot, actually. I haven't bought, but I love the two albums that come before this one. This is the album with Bittersweet Symphony, which is a decent song, and as you can see, I bought it for $2, and I don't know if that was even worth it. All these songs are like pale imitations of Bittersweet Symphony. It's not nearly as entertaining as the other Verve albums. It's not as good songwriting. It sounds okay, if that's something you're like really banking on, but I just wanted to show it off because it's in my collection. I own it. And I mean, if you saw my Britpop series, which was years ago at this point, you would know that I didn't like this album then, and I still don't like it now. I bought it again just to give it a shot, and because I thought like, well, everyone likes it, so maybe I'm missing something. No, I didn't really miss anything. It still kind of sucks. And next is an album that doesn't suck. This is Illustre Nos with Weltschmerz. This album right here, this I showed off for Nothing But Black Metal November 2 years in a row because I listened to this album my first year, and I bought it not that long after because it's a really nice, like really good custom case here. It's like a nice material. The inside is cool. You can smudge it really easily, but like the font is super nice, and it reflects the album. You know, as much as the album is very dissonant and kind of raw, like it's a very nicely packaged product here. And you got a nice little CD in there, and a quote that says, "Nothing proves that we are more than nothing," which is E.M. Choran's quote. I don't know. It's a nice packaged product here. It's a good fold case. It beats the jewel cases. It's very fancy. I like it. Not to mention, it's also just killer black metal. If you haven't heard that one before, definitely check it out. A lot of really cool like orchestral moments, but they're really placed at interesting times, and there's even like a singer at some point. Now, this is an artist I haven't dove into that much because it's just stuff that isn't discussed as much in like music appreciation, that as far as I've seen in spaces like Mew, because this is a movie soundtrack, and it's the only movie soundtrack I know, and I have never seen this movie, and I don't know how to pronounce it, but I like the composer. This is Koya Nisquachi. I probably butchered the hell out of that, but it's a Philip Glass CD right here. It's this one, and there were two available at the store, and I looked them up, and this version was higher rated, so I bought it. And it's kind of a weird looking packaging, but Philip Glass is known for like his minimalist compositions. It's mostly like synthesizer, which with some woodwinds and a choir, and they just do vowel sounds the whole time. And it's really minimalist, but it's really magical sounding. It's a really engaging record. Beautiful soundtrack. I gotta see this movie now. I need to see every Philip Glass movie. He composed The Truman Show. That's probably the most famous movie he composed, but probably the most successful movie he composed in terms of his best composition. Everyone kind of says it's Mishima, and it makes sense. That movie has a beautiful score, and so does this one. And up next, I'm gonna show these both at the same time because they're by the same artist. Isis's Oceanic and Panopticon, and these albums are both fantastic, and I guess I'll announce this right now. I'm going to review Isis's discography coming up very soon, and both these albums are fantastic post-metal, sort of atmospheric sludge metal. They're one of the heavy hitters in that genre, up there with Neurosis, and if it's not Neurosis, it's Isis. That's basically what you say when you consider atmospheric sludge metal. It doesn't get much better than that. It's really conceptual, really interesting, really cool, like post-metal styles. Like it just builds and builds and builds. And that's really the way to describe most of their songs in a way. A few of them are a little bit different, but ISIS is a killer band. Both those albums are basically considered the two best ISIS records, and it was such a steal to find them both at the same time. And now a totally different kind of metal. This is Slayer's Seasons in the Abyss. This is killer thrash metal. I've shown off my Rain and Blood, and this one's great too. I don't think it's as good as Rain and Blood. These songs are probably about nearly twice the length of those songs, because they're a slight bit more progressive, maybe a little bit more doomy, a little more building on the riffs. It's not as fast paced and crushing as Rain and Blood is. It's darker, angrier. Tom Araya even kind of sings on one or two of these songs here, so it's a little bit of a different record. It's a good progression on what they do, but I think it's awesome. I think it rips. And now an album I was very lucky to find, and I've owned this for a year and a half now, but I've never shown it off. And if you hear me talk about music for more than 10 seconds, you'll probably think that I own this CD, and I finally do. Asia by Steely Dan. It's great. I love it. Deacon Blues is the best song of all time. Asia's the best song of all time. Black Cow is great. That's the opener. It's the best song of all time. Peg is energetic and super fun. It's the best song of all time. Yeah, it's the best album of all time. It's perfect 10. Nothing has ever beaten it. It's the best album of all time. Jokes aside, real music time. Really, really real music time. Probably the most depressing album I've ever heard before the 1980s, or at least before 1979 with Joy Division, and probably more depressing than that. This is Leonard Cohen's Songs of Love and Hate. This is a fantastic folk record. I don't own a lot of folk music, but I love Leonard Cohen. His songwriting is simply unmatched, even when he turns into synth pop in like the 90s, which is a crazy turn of events. But back in the 70s, he made real folk music, and that stuff just made you want to curl into a ball and die, because it's simply so destructive. There's a rehearsal version of Dress Rehearsal Rag on here. I love Diamonds in the Mine. That's like the catchiest song on here, but like Leonard Cohen's like yelling at the end of the song. It's just so anguished. It's like a very tongue-in-cheek track there. All these songs are awesome. I love the guitar line on the opening track, Avalanche. It's like really rumbly and really ominous. That's not as depressing as these other songs like Dress Rehearsal Rag and Last Year's Man. Those are crushing. And Joan of Arc is kind of like a bittersweet conclusion to this whole thing. Really, really beautiful album here. Leonard Cohen's Songs of Love and Hate. I recommend you all check it out. It's a classic for a reason. And another album from one of my favorite bands of all time, maybe my favorite band of all time. And this album is a bit of a controversial listen in their whole discography here. And it actually features John Anderson on the final track here, which is also the first track of its kind, being a progressive rock suite, being over like 20 minutes long. This is Lizard by King Crimson. This album is amazing, really good progressive rock, a little bit of avant-garde jazz influence here and there. I think it's a super fun record. And of course, the aforementioned song Lizard, which is a suite which has 4, 5, 6 different parts in it, or 7 including Big Top, my bad. But it's a really cool album. I think it's super cool. Robert Fripp from King Crimson said he didn't like it for a long time until Steven Wilson of Porcupine Tree remixed it, and then he suddenly liked it. But I think it sounds really great, really good songwriting. The only real problem for me is like the vocalist is like not that good. Like it's the weakest King Crimson vocalist. Like everyone loves Adrian Belew. Everyone likes Greg Lake. I think Emerson, Lake and Palmer is garbage, but I think he sounded really good on the first King Crimson album. But whoever the vocalist was on this one, which it doesn't say on the back, but like whatever, he's considered like the weakest King Crimson vocalist, and I would have to agree with that. And I own a t-shirt with this album right here, and this is one that I absolutely had to own, and I'm honestly surprised that it's the only CD of theirs I own. I own a vinyl of the rehearsals of this band's second album, but this is this band's fourth album. Black metal classic, truly a classic. It does not get any more classic than this. This is Dark Throne's Transylvanian Hunger. Very repetitive, very hypnotic, cold, ice cold, very dark, vampiric, raw, really gritty, distorted guitars with really repetitive yet slightly melodic riffing. It's truly great stuff. And Varg from Burzum wrote one of these songs, and I just Love it so much. Actually, excuse me. The back here even says it credits Fenriz and Varg for writing the lyrics on all those songs. But this is absolutely something you need to listen to if you want to get into black metal. And you will probably assume that it is just too repetitive first time you listen to it, because if you're not into black metal, well, if you're not into black metal, then you haven't heard this. And if you're getting into black metal, this might seem a little weird at first, but I promise it's good stuff once you get used to it. Because the genre has a lot of very different things compared to most other metal genres. But it is amazing stuff. It's really isolating, and it's a really raw recording style. It really is like the penultimate black metal record. It's really, it really fits everything in the scene into one moment. And now a more popular album, one I still quite love this, except for one song really. But this is another one of my favorite bands of all time. This is Tool's Undertow. I've shown you guys looking into my camera, the reflection there. I've shown all my other Tool records here. This. It's one of the 4 that everyone loves, which is the first 4 albums. Like, if you love the 5th album more than any of the other ones, I don't know what you're doing. I personally disagree with you highly. This one is awesome. It's so awesome. From the opening track, you got Sober. You've got the Henry Rollins feature that shows up. This is amazing. This is back when Maynard was at his most manic and upsetting, and it's truly like a disturbing album in a bit of a way. Like, for alternative metal, it doesn't get much more disturbing and dark and personal than this. It really shows something totally new for the future. A lot of bands could never quite nail down this exact level of efficiency here. Like, this is, and it's not too progressive. So if you don't like Tool's 10-minute songs, I know people meme that like, oh, 10-minute songs, they suck, but they're really great. This album has, the final track is 15 minutes, but no one likes Disgustipated. That's the only problem with this album, is Disgustipated. But even then, I don't hate it. It just lasts too long. And it's basically a song with like a big gap of silence. But, everything here is great. Intolerance is great. I love Bottom. Bottom and Sober are my 2 favorite songs on here. But Intolerance, the opening track, is great too. Everything here does sound like it's in an undertow. It sounds like it's drowning. It's great. And now, I gotta move the sleeve for this one, but you could probably read that it's Suns, Monoliths, and Dimensions. I'll just open it up a little bit real quick. I don't know what's up with that sleeve, but here's Suns, Monoliths, and Dimensions. It is cracked. I got this from the Amoeba record store. This is really classic drone metal right here, with Mayhem's vocalist Attila as the vocalist on this one. He does a lot of spoken word stuff and some growls. Really, really cool album. Really interesting and conceptual. There are only 4 songs on here, but they're all over 10 minutes each. Over 8 minutes each, my bad. The second song is the shortest one here, Big Church, which features a big choir, which sings this really interesting syncopated, sort of like drifting in and out vocal line that gets paired with these massive roaring drone metal guitars. It's really cool stuff. And then my favorite song on here has... it's between the opener and the closer. The opener, Agartha, which is this utterly mysterious, very slowly growing, super long drone metal piece where Attila is just croaking and talking about Agartha, which is the land near like the center of the earth. It's like really weird and mystical stuff. And the final song, Alice, the tribute to Alice Coltrane, is so beautiful. It's like actually insane. It's like kind of jazz influenced, but it's just crazy stuff. And what record collection could possibly be complete without the album that started everything ever, Velvet Underground and Nico. I don't even know what I have to say about this thing, but it's classic. It's great. It's experimental. For the time, it was truly moving. It's one of my favorite albums, at least to an extent. I love the song Heroin. I love every song on here. Gosh, what don't I love? I love the Black Angels Death song. That actually might be my favorite, with how it like has this really weird like angular sound. And Venus and Furs sounds like so medieval. It's really super cool stuff. If you don't know the Velvet Underground, really get into their discography. They are a band worth your time. They're worth checking out. They're worth listening to. All of the stuff that Lou Reed is in, because once Lou Reed is gone, it's no longer the Velvet Underground. But it's really great stuff. I hope you guys check it out. That is assuming you haven't checked it out already, which I'd hope you have. But that is about it. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, I'd appreciate you like and subscribe. Any comments, questions, or concerns down below. Also, in the description below, you'll find my social media, being my Instagram, Twitter, and my Discord page, where we talk about music. And shoot, we could talk about your physical collection too. I'd love to see what you guys have. And that's about it. Hope you guys have a good day. Bye.